If you're a long-term subscriber, then you probably know that about 4 years ago, I put my own hard-earned money down on a Rivian R1T, and today my Rivian has finally arrived. Although this is not exactly the Rivian that I initially ordered almost 4 years ago. That model, I really wanted the bigger battery pack, and I kind of wanted the green interior. That's what I had selected. Ultimately, this one is the large pack, but not the max pack, and it has a charcoal interior because in hindsight, I decided that this one might be a bit more resellable if I end up not keeping my Rivian R1T long term. In the Rivian order process, I was able to make a few changes along the way, but this ultimately was not what I ended up ordering. As you get close to the production date of your particular Rivian, they give you the option of selecting from one that was already in stock, either one that they decided to build anyway, or one that perhaps someone changed their mind on, and that is the Rivian we're looking at today. Now, I will tell you in advance that all Rivian updates going forward are going to be on the EV Buyer's Guide channel. Again, I'm trying to separate things out, but I decided to put this video here on Alex Nautos because, again, it was nearly 4 years ago that I put my money down on the R1T, and it's only now just turned up. At this point, a lot of you are probably thinking, hang on a minute, doesn't he also have a pre-order on a Lightning? Yes, I do, and here's the deal. I wasn't sure if my Rivian would ever really turn up, and I was really impressed with the Lightning, so I ordered one of those as well. Now, which one I end up keeping, I'm not entirely clear on because I absolutely cannot keep both. So either one of the trucks or the EV6, those are going to hang on for a while. Fortunately, through our business bank, we have some very, very inexpensive lines of credit, and that is what is paying for this Rivian right now. So if you're wondering how on earth I have them all at the same time, that's what's going on. There are loans involved, and eventually loans are going to have to get paid back. So I'm going to have to decide at some point. Let me know what you think initially down there in the comment section. Which one should I keep? The two trucks are quite different. The big thing to know about the Rivian is that the best way to think of it is as America's only luxury truck on the market right now. And that's obvious not just from the outside, from the styling, but especially on the inside and the way the Rivian drives and performs. This is very, very different than the F-150. Theoretically, the Rivian is a mid-sized truck, but it's not as mid-sized as you would think. The hood is certainly lower to the ground than the F-150 Lightning. That's the big reason the F-150 Lightning has a bigger front trunk. But you'll notice this also has an adaptive air suspension, which is why it's currently sitting very low. It's in its lower ride height mode. But the front end certainly looks like a pickup truck, albeit a very modern Cybertruck thing going on here with these really distinctive headlights, large accent lights here. This large light bar glows green when the vehicle is charging. It looks really cool on the outside. I'm just going to grab the camera here as we look around the vehicle. You can see that this one is the adventure trim, so we have things like tow hooks there. We have LED fog lights. These are multi-module LED lights. They have Rivian logo, Rivian spelled out right there, and there's that big light bar again. I can open the front trunk using the buttons on the remote here. So this is a powered front trunk. It opens a little on the slow side. Again, it is a little smaller than the one that we find in the F-150 Lightning, and it has a bit of a lift over here. So the F-150 Lightning, the entire grille goes up and down with that opening. This one is a little bit different. Now, in terms of size, this is about 14 inches shorter than the F-150 Lightning, although it's about the same width. But you can really see what's going on here. Rivian decided to give this a very teardrop or hourglass shape, whatever you want to call this, with this really wide hip motif here. That's not what we find in the F-150 Lightning. So space efficiency for the external packaging, this is not quite as efficient, but it does really give it a very aggressive look. We have a power down tailgate right there, but not power back up. The power tonneau cover is operated via this button right here. You can also operate it through the touchscreen infotainment system. It is a little on the loud side. I was surprised by that. I'm also not entirely clear how this is going to work as far as leaves getting trapped in there, etc. Under here, we have a spare tire or a storage compartment. I did not end up with a spare tire, although I wanted it. It can be added aftermarket, apparently. There's that cargo divider right in there and a drain plug. You just slam that one closed. And as I said before, the tailgate, it's not powered. You do have to heft that back into place. Coming around the side, you'll notice that the Rivian does not have a separate cab and a separate bed. This is sort of unibody, sort of body on frame. It all depends on exactly how you consider the isolation between the body on top, that is one piece between that cargo area and the passenger area, and the battery module below, which is where all the suspension and everything else attaches. On either side of the cargo bed, we have a button to open this mid-tunnel right here. This is another really cool feature with the Rivian. I can open both sides. So if I walk over here to the other side of the truck, press the button over here, you then pull them down, and there we have the cargo tunnel. The cargo tunnel was Rivian's solution for a space that is normally unused in a pickup truck, so it sort of is behind the seats right there, and this will operate as a step, so you can use it to get up onto the truck or up into the bed. You can also get accessories like a camp kitchen, things like that. Back here in the rear seat area, you can see the speaker grill right there for the built-in subwoofer. That's under this seat. Then under the other side of the seat, we have this large storage area there behind the driver's seat and behind the middle seat area. Back here, you'll also see part of the reason that I call this a luxury truck. The attention to detail and the design in here is exquisite and definitely a step above the F-150 Lightning. Rivian logo right there, lots of accents on things like the headrests, lots of attention to detail on the materials here, parts quality, stitching, etc. This is definitely, in terms of quality, better than the average Tesla. Fold-down armrest back there with a storage cubby and cup holders. There's also a touchscreen back there for the rear passengers. But before I get distracted about the interior, let's talk a bit more about the cargo area. Over here on this side, we have the built-in inflator. You can see it has a little pressure readout there, so you can inflate your tires or other vehicles' tires, things like that. That's a really handy touch. This is sort of designed to be the Grand Cherokee, I guess you could say, of electric pickup trucks. It's an off-road oriented truck with an adaptive air suspension, etc. On the other side of the cargo area, we find 120 volt outlets, lots of LED lighting in the cargo area. It really gives us a really slick look. Unlike the Lightning, we don't have a 120 volt power outlet in the front trunk, but we do have a 12 volt power outlet. And to support accessories like the camp kitchen, there is a 120 volt power outlet in the cargo tunnel. Of course, we have to have aero door handles in a modern EV, so we find some here in the Rivian. We have one remote control that is with the car. It's sort of a carabiner remote control. You can actually pull that out, see if I can do that one-handed there. Pull that out, right like that, and then swing it around. Good thing I didn't drop that on the gravel. And then we have RFID cards to get in the truck. These are a little bit different than the ones that we see in Teslas. You put it right over here on the door handle to lock or unlock the vehicle, and then to start, you place it over here on the driver's side door panel. The interior in terms of design and parts quality is really where the Rivian shines. This is all imitation leather, of course, because this is an EV and they want to be environmentally friendly, but the design is very attractive. The parts quality is significantly higher than the average American truck, from things like the suede headliner, that's an imitation suede headliner, to just the accent details like the orange striping there on those handles just above that area. This has a Meridian audio system. Very attractive interior, lots of soft touch materials in here all the way around, things like real wood trim on the dashboard in a really elegant open pore design, and even soft touch plastics lower on the front doors. Now, obviously those are going to be not as durable as the harder plastics you'll find on an F-150 Lightning or something like that, but they're certainly a lot more attractive. I would also say that this interior tends to be a little bit more form over function. The dashboard has no traditional air vents. They're all controlled by the touchscreen infotainment system. So if you're looking for a Tesla-like experience for your climate control, so that's how you move the air vents around, then this is for you. If you just want an air vent that you can move around, you might want to look somewhere else. Also, if you want a glove compartment, you might want to look somewhere else because we don't have one over here in the Rivian. Instead, going down from there, we have floor mats that kind of look like placemats, I guess you'd say, for a table. And then under the passenger seat, we have a teeny tiny little storage area where you can put an umbrella or things like your insurance card. There's also a lot of storage space going on here in the middle because no transmission tunnel, no transmission. These are the air vents that are controlled via that touchscreen cluster that we're going to talk about in a bit. We then have cup holders that pop out from the center console. This is an integrated Bluetooth speaker that locks and then can undock from the vehicle. So you can take your tunes with you while you're camping. That's a little bit difficult to get in and out of there one-handed while you're holding a camera, but it does lock into place via the touchscreen infotainment system. These are what those cards look like. There's a little slot where you can store your smartphone, your cards, grippy mat right there for whatever. No Qi wireless charging mat in here, which I do think is an odd twist. 2 USB ports right here in the center console, but no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Going in for a close look on this infotainment screen, you can see that the software is really snappy, lots of live mapping information there, but we don't have features like Waze because we don't have smartphone integration like CarPlay or Android Auto. It does pull album art from your Bluetooth connected smartphone, but Bluetooth is not my favorite way of interacting with a smartphone or a media library like that. It's pretty snappy as far as the interaction goes, but sometimes Bluetooth will skip out. You can control your audio settings there, lots of different audio settings. You can also change sources like built-in Spotify, or of course FM radio if you're interested in regular old FM. Over here we have some controls for the all-wheel drive system and just the drive system in general. Different drive modes here. If I put my foot on the brake pedal and then engage drive, you can see we have all-purpose, sport, conserve, off-road, and towing. Interesting twist. conserve makes this a front-wheel drive truck rather than a rear-wheel drive truck. Kind of an odd twist since the 4 motors in the truck are essentially identical. Not sure why they picked the front there. The off-road mode will automatically increase the ride height. You can see you can go all the way up to 15 inches of ride height in this vehicle. And if I put it in conserve, I can go all the way down there to the lowest, which is 9.5 inches of clearance. It's worth noting that in this lowest ride height mode, that's about the most ground clearance you can get in an F-150 Lightning. So this is a very, very different kind of vehicle. It also has an adaptive air suspension, so you can choose between stiff or you can choose soft for the ride there. You can choose 2 different levels of brake regen, and you can turn the stability control on, off, or reduced. Over here we have vehicle options, things like opening the hood, opening the gear tunnels, the tonneau cover. You can change some of the lighting on the inside, and you can adjust the charging schedule for the vehicle. Over here we have your typical trip computer readouts. Not a whole lot else going on there. You can see no additional screens going somewhere else. The amount of information we get about the drivetrain is currently a little on the low side. Now, I haven't been driving too efficiently here, just 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour. I'll talk more about that in a different video. We have our updates over here for the vehicle. This does have a hands-off the steering wheel system, very much like Cadillac Super Cruise. As you'd expect, the vehicle has over-the-air updates. The software is currently all up to date, and it does have built-in Alexa as well. Unlike modern Teslas, we have a traditional 360-degree camera layout and additional cameras on the vehicle in order to enable that hands-free driving feature. Over here, you can also click on the gear guard option here. Go ahead and pop that into park. This is sort of like Tesla's Sentry mode, only obviously Rivian branded. The dashboard layout is a little bit more traditional than some EVs, so we have a separate LCD instrument cluster for the driver, large 3-spoke steering wheel, no regen paddles or anything like that on the back of the wheel. I would love to see something along those lines. Real wood inserts on the steering wheel and a very minimalist approach to buttons. These buttons operate mainly as the volume up, down, and track forward, backward toggle. These mainly work with the cruise control, which is activated via this shifter stalk right back there. It's a double tap down, very much like we find in modern Teslas, but they can also do other things based on the software. So if, for instance, I go in here and I want to adjust the steering wheel, then this becomes in and out, and then this becomes up and down. They also work to adjust the side mirror. So if I hit the side mirror option, this one will start adjusting the right mirror, this one will adjust the left mirror. If you're a fan of button minimalism, you'll probably like this because it gives you a very clean look to either side of the driver. You can see over here that there are just 4 window switches on the driver's side door, so no extra modules going on. But for ease of access, I wouldn't mind just a few more buttons. We do, however, have buttons over here for the headlights, so that's the headlight toggle right there, and then the windshield wiper controls, turn signal stalk right there. So you're not obligated to use some sort of swipey thing on a steering wheel like we find in some Teslas. Up on the ceiling, we find part of the driver monitoring system with that little sensor right there, and then we do not have a shade over this large panoramic moonroof. It is always going to be open. Well, that's been my quick look around the Rivian. Be sure and subscribe to the EV Buyer's Guide channel. There's going to be a link down there in the description. There's also going to be a button at the end of the video to take you over there. That's where you're going to find all the other updates on the Rivian R1T. I've only had this for about 30 miles and about 2 hours so far, but I'm very impressed. This really is the luxury truck that so many Americans claim they want. We'll see if they end up buying it. This is a very different beast than the F-150 Lightning, and a very different kind of animal than every other mid-sized truck in America. When you really look at the numbers as far as mid-sizing goes, this is about the same width, has about the same width bed as we find in an F-150 Lightning. It's really only about 14 inches shorter. So mid-size, it's kind of a odd term really, because it's not as small as you might think, but it's not as big as some people might want either. On the inside, it's definitely luxurious. Build quality is pretty decent. There are a few seams on the body that are not quite as I would like, but I think this is definitely better put together than the last Tesla that I drove. Well, one correction there. The Model S, I think, was put together a little better than this, but a recent Model X or Model Y that I drove that had just come out of the factory, they definitely were not put together with the same kind of precision that we find in the Rivian. And of course, the look. It's just awfully cool looking. Since I was an early pre-orderer, this also ended up being less expensive than the F-150 Lightning that I ordered. Now, how much it's going to cost you will really depend on when you ordered your Lightning and when you ordered your Rivian. If you were to order one of these right now, it would be significantly more expensive than the Lightning. And I think the price tag makes sense. I know that may sound controversial, but because of the luxury features and the luxury touches that we find on the inside, I think Rivian definitely deserves to have a higher price tag, which is exactly what they have done. Let me know what you think about that, and of course stay tuned for all those videos coming up soon, and hopefully my F-150 Lightning video, because according to Ford, it has already shipped and it should arrive sometime between now and perhaps July 6th. I don't know exactly when that will be, however, because the dealer has to do their thing. And the process with Rivian, it was a lot easier. It's very direct, so you just do everything online. You scan all of your documents into them. They handle all the paperwork, all the financing, whatever is necessary. The dude just drops off the car, literally 2 signatures on 1 sheet of paper. The guy was gone and the truck was mine. I'll see all of you later. Be sure and find me over at Facebook, Instagram, all those other social places, and of course, check out all the upcoming content coming soon.